Okay.
No. You can use the clicker. And you're all.
Oh, and we found. Perfect.
Give me a few minutes. Go ahead. All right, Brandon. It's just you and me right now. Okay. I mean, it says to introduce myself, but I think feel like you know who I am. It is. Had several conversations with you. You're somewhat familiar with me. Yep. You know, so today we're talking about negotiation. It's funny it says when you say if your birthday falls in a month's range, raise your hand and I'll call on you to share it. That's when you're going to be tomorrow. Happy birthday. Thank you. Any progress with that daily successes?
Yeah. It'll take off.
Yeah, you will. Welcome in again. Jay, how you doing this morning? When do you take your test? Have you scheduled it yet? When you plan on it? Okay. And
Classes are right. Are you done with the classes? Yeah.
you know about the TCPA, they talk about that in every class. So at this point, it's overkill, but we know about that. Don't call people you're not supposed to call. Don't text them and all of that. So yeah, negotiate offers today. At the end of the day, we'll go over the 3 P's of negotiation: prepare, present, and position. Tips for successful negotiation. So by the end of the day, you're able to explain negotiating offers and some skills around negotiation. So if you have any questions at any point, feel free to stop me at any point during the time. Okay. And negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. What do y'all think about that? Any limiting beliefs that come to mind when you think about negotiation?
I think it's a good way that allows your transactions of pretty much anything to reach a good agreement between 2 parties.
Yeah, yeah, it's something. It's a way to level the playing field and make it fair in something, but I feel like you're being taken advantage of. You, in most cases, can't negotiate a quote. Price is a price, but somebody, person to person, negotiate that, make sure everybody is happy with the transaction. You ever bought a car before and negotiated that price?
I have, but yeah.
So, was negotiation is an important part of real estate. It's an important part of the job of realtor. It's realtor. A lot of people say realtor. Realtor. Yes, I'm under like this. Even realtors say realtor.
Yeah.
It's realtor. So you're going through all of these statistics and NAR that they say. Of course, it's an agent's ability to negotiate is one of the key factors that a lot of buyers and sellers look for an agent when they do something. But there was something to focus on in terms of why it's important. When we look at this Y4C2T, that's the Keller Williams slogan. Negotiation is the bargaining process, and bargaining is a give and take process between two or more parties, each with its own aims, needs, and viewpoints. And everyone is seeking to discover common ground and reach an agreement to settle a matter of mutual concern or resolve a conflict. And negotiation is where one of our we're going to say this before 2 CTS. Which one do you think of these negotiation plays an important part of these? The win-win: integrity, customers, commitment, communication, creativity, teamwork, trust, equity, and success.
I think they're all important.
They are. Which one do you think negotiation plays a factor?
Win-win. Woody.
Yeah, for sure. As a KW agent, you're always working to find a win-win solution for both parties. By being kind, fair, and professional, you have the best chance for reaching an agreement that's best for you and your clients. Finding common ground means that you, the clients, the other agent, and their clients are all getting what they need from the transaction. So we're building a relationship with all parties from the first contact. And any questions or comments on that? And so in the last session, we talked about offers. Simplify when an offer is accepted and moves through the process toward closing. But it isn't usually that simple. An offer is rejected or countered. We negotiate with the other side to reach a win-win agreement for everyone. It's important to know that every transaction is unique, so negotiation may not always only happen at this point of the transaction. So to get to this point, like you already lead generated, you got into a relationship, you lead, follow up with them, you got the appointment, you sign an agreement, you got your buyer qualified, you show the homes, or if you're a listing agent, you've helped them make the choices that put their home guided in the contract. So at this point in the transaction, there's already been a lot of time, a lot of communication, money invested, a lot of effort put in on both sides. So you shouldn't lose a deal just because of negotiation. So we'll focus today on building negotiation skills that you can close with confidence and have a win-win for everybody. And it seems like I'm reading, it's because I am. I was literally asked asked, well, Kristen was supposed to be here this morning, but she couldn't make it, so she was looking for somebody to fill in. I'm like, well, I'll do it. I'll fill in. I'll leave class. So I only had a couple of days to prepare for this. Yeah, I'm going to best.
Do you think negotiation or often shifting market or not?
I think as it shifts, I think negotiation is going to be a thing that is going to have to be done more. I think if there are multiple offers, I think probably see a little less negotiation. But as things start to sit on the market long, sellers are willing to let go more, and buyers are probably gonna not have to do as much as well. So, yeah, negotiation is something that's gonna be part of the skills that's gonna keep you in business while the market is shifting. So in your participation guide, who do you negotiate with first? Okay. With Travis. So you do negotiate with your client first. You negotiate terms with your buyer or your listing agreement with the seller. So who else do you negotiate with? In addition to the client. The other agent on the transaction. Let's say Crowley. In a transaction, Crowley should be there to help you. One, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
like system, like I say, like guy, like extra cabinets.
Yeah, we got to help guide you through the process if you have questions. I know Susan is really good about that. If you have a question for Susan, if you're at home even at night writing a contract, so yes, Susan is your go-to person. And there's several other agents around that'll help you with the team, or your team leader. You know, productivity coach, call you coach. So many other people you can call. Yeah, you're always negotiating with your clients and the other agent on the transactions. And as you conduct business in this market, chances are you negotiate with the same agent over and over again. And before I moved here, we only had 120 agents in our MLS. Covered an area that had about 45,000 in population. So only 120 agents, only a handful of them are doing a lot of business. And I've done several deals with the same agent more than one time. Whether I had the buyer, or they had the buyer, or the seller. Yeah, I think there was agents in this month, 6,000 or so. Yeah, even that, still, you can see them the same name over and over. So what do you think gets negotiated in the contract? What are some parts of the contract that you do negotiate? Is it
Closing,
closing dates, sale price, payers?
talked to yesterday about inspection period time.
Yeah, who's gonna do these repairs that show up in the inspection? Seller. most common points of negotiation falls in one of two categories, either pricing or terms. And keep the slide. Like kick it, I don't slide. So most common points, pricing and terms. Pricing is usually a factor in negotiation. It's all about the cost of property. Of course, terms are financial, time-based, or closing costs, closing dates, said repairs. What additional terms might negotiate there? Exactly.
Solutions, exclusions.
Furniture, household property, refrigerator, closing costs.
I bought my house, there was this really god awful wooden, faux fireplace. They were trying to like, that was supposed to entice me to buy it and get that.
Thing where people want a shed torn down in the backyard. I've had people that wanted furniture. Like there was a bed.
A bed?
I've had people ask for a bed. Yeah. Or they want furniture. It just depends on what it is and how nice it is. It's old and dingy. Most people don't want that kind of. It's nice. Somebody might want that. Barbecue grills, I've seen that a lot. One barbecue grills just stay in the backyard. Swing sets for the kids. Is that considered personal property in Ohio? Like if they had
It's in the ground,
yeah,
should go with property.
should, right, it's considered personal property in Mississippi. So,
Really?
yeah,
Screw that.
it's considered personal property. So why somebody would not want that, I don't know, especially if it's cemented into the ground. But if the buyer doesn't want it, they could ask for it to be removed.
And it's not like you're, it's a pain to sell.
To the personal property. Just like the sofa is presumed that it's gonna be gone. Unless it's written in the contract that it stays, the seller can take it. Yeah. What's a way that you can use questions to determine what might be negotiated? Well, one way you can do it is ask the seller, well, ask the other agent what's important to the seller besides the price. You can ask it to the buyer, what's important besides the price. I always laugh when you ask this question. Any aha? Yeah. Just started. Yeah. It's funny hearing the word aha. They do it in every class. No matter what, they all say aha. Even in the books, it's written right out the aha. But nonetheless, talking about what can be negotiated, price and terms. We're gonna look at a model that we use in negotiation. That model is called 3 P's of negotiation. Get that in here. Okay. So negotiation is a skill that anyone can learn and can be perfected with experience. The best practice you can follow is 3 P's in negotiation. And at a high level, the model is prepared for preparation is key to building confidence and ensuring a smooth process. And I'm realizing now that what it tells me to say is written on the slide. So I don't want to insult your intelligence. But yeah. prepare, present, and position. So we'll go through in depth into each of the three pieces. Spend some time practicing and role modeling each step. Unless I want to.
No.
So we still need more practice after today's session. You can always use the enrichment time and ignite the find and part of the practice. So, prepare, first thing. To prepare, you need to know your goal. Have a clear goal of reaching a win-win agreement in which both the buyer and seller are satisfied with the outcome of the negotiation. Remind your client of their motivation for moving or buying the house, and when the contract closes, they'll be able to go on with their lives. So to know your client, make sure you fully understand your client goals, learn the areas in which they're willing to negotiate, and where they will stand firm. Think ahead, anticipate what the other party intends to get out of the negotiation. Write down how you think they may counter the offer and how you plan to handle it. And set clear expectations prior to meeting with the other party. Set clear and realistic expectations with your clients. And then under promise and over deliver. I heard that years ago. It's to promise less, deliver more. If you under promise and then you do more than what you say you do, it makes you look like a professional, like you're just amazing at what you do. Because you promise less than what you end up doing. So it makes you better. Stress the importance of moving quickly to create a sense of urgency. Part of setting clear expectations with your client is being clear that win-lose agreements are likely to be rejected by the other side. To set yourself up for success, make it a win-win. Yes, I've seen that be true in many cases. If it's a fair deal for both parties, it's more likely to be accepted instead of one that heavily favors the other side. That's in life, you know. But you want everybody to be happy, being with everybody's happy, everybody gets along. I've had closings before where the buyer and seller were irritated with each other. One didn't feel like it was fair, even though they agreed to it. They thought about it after the fact and they really didn't like the deal. It's good to have both parties at the closing table happy and shaking hands at the end. But that particular one, they had to come at different times. But it might have been a fight at the closing. Maybe not. But, I mean, there was some frustration.
There was one of the office, there was like, both parties like screaming at each other, or they get the police involved.
It happens. Selling a house can be emotional, especially with somebody that's selling their first house that their children grew up in. They have marks on the door frame of the kids growing. They do that. Parents do that.
There's marks on my doorways.
Yeah, they can point to any corner of the room and remember something from the kids' childhood. You know, it can be an emotional time when there's emotions like that tied into it. It's hard for people to sell. Yeah, they want everything to go a certain way, and when it doesn't, they can be frustrated. On the buyer side, somebody's been outbid several times, and finally get there. Now they're excited. Now they want everything to go their way too. See how it can be. If you don't have the expectation set, it can be a rocky process. Be informed. So before making an offer or a counter offer, it's a good practice to speak with two other agents ask open-ended questions, and use active listening to find out as much as you can about the other party and their agent. This helps you know with whom you're negotiating, on what points you're negotiating, and where you and your client can have leverage. Obey the laws. Every state and locality has their own set of laws that regulate zoning, mortgage qualifications, and other real estate matters. Stay current on your local regulations and stay out of court. I think they do a great job of that here in this office. When there's something that changes, there's a class. Multiple classes over there. When they did the contract with Cincinnati and Dayton, I mean, they talked about that in the team. He's 3 weeks in a row. I think. And I think Susan did a special class outside of the team. Yeah, if you don't know about things going on, it's because you just wasn't paying attention here. They give you opportunities to learn here for sure. If you just show up and pay attention, they're there. Even the vendors, they provide good information as well. So even our vendor partners and other vendors in the city, you can find out about qualification and interest rates, things along that line as well. And then know the documents inside of that. And it goes without saying. You got to know the documents that you're going to be negotiating on. Become familiar with your local board governing forms. Take the time needed to understand the templates and what goes in each field. Anything stand out to you all about that slide there?
That's where AHAs are.
Actually, it does say ask participants for any AHA questions before we get off. So it really does say that. I try to word it differently. But it is asking for any AHAs or questions. Moving on to the ladies, I just found out about that on this couple of days. So I'm just feeling it. All right. So I'm doing the best I can. Ask purposeful questions. Understanding the right questions to ask according to the negotiation process and to being able to prepare in the most comprehensive way. Asking questions allows you to establish and uncover the objectives and goals of your clients and those on the other side of the transaction. By asking questions, you gain more information. As you gain information, you strengthen your ability to negotiate and increase your chances of having a win-win negotiation. Benefits of asking questions are one, to provide you with the points you need to negotiate on. This is on the slide. Provides insight, sets clear expectations, allows you to know your client's goals, and helps learn what makes it a win-win negotiation for both parties. It's a pretty straightforward slide. Knowing the right questions gives you all the information you need. What you're negotiating on, what their goals are, leverage points. And it's not the leverage that they talk about when they say these listing and leverage. This is like leveraging, knowing where you can, like if I see that as like if there's a house that's been on the market for 90 days, your chances of offering less than asking price and getting it accepted is probably higher than a house that got listed this week. Makes sense? So you do have some leverage by saying, yeah, your house is sitting for 90 days. Hadn't sold it yet, so here's my offer to buy this house. It worked for me. The one closing I've had this year since I've been here. The house had been sitting for a while. So we offered, I think the house was at 195. I think we offered 180. I got it. So it was an investor that lived it, ready to sell it. That was it, like 18,000 under asking price. Wouldn't have happened if the house had just put on the market.
Yeah.
That was the fourth house we offered on. Those other ones got listed, the offer over asking price and still lost that. So. Yeah. Open versus closed questions. So at a basic level, there are two types of questions: open-ended, closed-ended. And of course, this is going to come up in several different classes as well as we open-ended versus closed-ended. And just it has examples of these open-ended and closed-ended. What I was always told was that open-ended questions are questions that can't be answered with a yes or no. Something that they have to give information. But for the closed-ended, do you have any other offers? Yes or no. But
I don't know about that last question. What is the bottom line price?
yeah, they might not be a closed. They might not know. Might not know what their bottom line is.
And that's also how many people are actually going to answer that, honestly.
And if I'm a selling agent, I don't really want to know.
You're not doing your fiduciary.
Yeah.
Help.
I don't want to know what their bottom number is because, yeah, I'll give you an offer and you say yes or no to that. I don't want to know in front of you what your bottom number is. Also, if I'm the buyer's agent and I'm offering less than asking price, I don't want the seller's agent to know that my buyer is pre-approved for more than what we're offering. I don't want them to know that. I don't want them to know that my buyer can't pay more. So I'll call the lender and say, hey, can you send me, we're gonna offer this amount. Send a pre-approval letter showing this amount. Even though they might be approved for more. Just to protect my buyers. So I've done it in the past. Most lenders would do that. It takes 5 minutes for them to write their letter, email it out. They probably have it already drafted or a template that they use. Just plug and play the information, send it out within 10 minutes. If even that. So why might it be beneficial to ask more open-ended questions as you negotiate? We kind of talked about that already.
Uncover some of the details. See where the head's at.
Get them to share what they're thinking. What they're thinking today might be different than what they thought before we chatted this offer. Circumstances change, they see things differently, they get information. Get them to uncover and tell you where they are. What? Why questions? Let's dig into some specific questions that can help you learn about your client's needs and create focus for negotiation. What would happen if what would happen if you didn't sell in a certain time frame that you said you need to sell? Well, what would happen if you offered less than asking price and the seller rejects all? You let them anticipate the next steps of negotiation. You let them do it, let them see what it means, let you anticipate it as well. And kind of get ahead of what's gonna happen next. Set the expectation to the client as to, what's about to happen. And then why is this important? When I was script, they had, this line is in every script that they had. Why is that important? Tell me what about that. Let them share, pain and I guess predict what it might feel if something didn't go the way they planned. Makes sense? Why is it important for you to be in a certain school district by the time school starts? What would happen if it didn't happen, if you didn't get there? Kids might have to be in the school district. They're gonna have to stay where they are. And so, I don't know. There's so many different scenarios that played out there. Is asking for a role play now. That was good. Mr. McCoy. Now that we covered the first P, here, let's see how we can apply what we just learned. Participants and partners. So, here before I start talking. And so the second stage is present. So some best practices keep in mind when presenting to the position agent. And your participant guide has more detail that you want to refer back to. And the best practices are listed here. Call the other agent, pay attention to non-verbals. As you present the offer, just keep it short. Yeah, I mean, they're listed out there. Remember that you're always working to create a positive relationship with you're the other agent in the transaction, even if they don't seem cooperative. So that when the emotions die down, they remember how professional you were or were not. They remember how you were. So, and remember, this is your career. You probably don't come across another agent again. Present yourself as the professionals that we are. Now, positioning is about moving both parties closer to there's a total agreement. Let's back up a little bit to present. And this is not here. I'm asking this question. Why would it be important to like what would be a reason to call the other agent? What would be a reason for doing that? Make sure they got it. That's one. Make sure they got it. Kind of went over the offer yesterday. There's something in there that might need a little explaining. The guy that mentioned a minute ago, cash buyer, but his situation was unique. His current home was being bought by 7 Hills School. And they hadn't closed on it yet, but he was still looking at the property to pay him for his current home. So he had cash that was coming, but it wasn't in his hand. He had closed on it, gotten a check and deposited it, but it wasn't available. So there was no bank statement he could print out to show that he had the cash. All he had was the receipt he made the deposit. So when I presented that offer, I called the businessman and said, hey, this guy does have cash. He has made the deposit. It is in the bank. It's just not, it's being held because of the amount of almost 300 grand. So when they checked that large, the bank was a hold on. Because they got to verify that the money that it came, that the source it came from. Why it takes 7 days. Like the technology that I should be doing, just make a phone call. But that's my opinion. I don't know why it takes 7 days to do a whole like that. But
It
yeah,
falls under CYA.
mhm. Yeah. 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 We gotta cover it. I like how Jonathan said he covered the glutes.
What?
Glutes. Yeah, that's what he kept saying that over. I never heard anybody say that, but the other day. Was that Jonathan?
I don't know if I was here for that one.
Jonathan Hardy?
Would you ever call it before you sent the offer, or usually after? You send it?
Usually when I'm sending it, or when I have already sent it, usually I'll send the email, depending on what time of day. If I send it at night, I might call it in the morning. Or during the day, I'll call them right after I send it. Okay, well, a lot of times I'll text them to, hey, I sent over an offer. If it's something I need to share with them, then I'll do it. If it's nothing, really, if it's a run-of-the-mill offer, pretty standard, then I'll go on and shoot and say, hey, I sent an offer. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or ask them to confirm that they received. I want that in writing to at least a text message or an email. Hey, you got this. And I even say that in the email. Please confirm receipt. That way I know that they did receive it. And now they have legally presented to themselves. Well, you hear the other day when the guy went over
Over what?
he went an hour over the time.
I don't know, I was
Classes, there. Yeah, we get 2 hours. Go back to 12 o'clock. Still going.
what was that one about?
That one was, working with buyers and sellers. All right, the third piece position. It's about moving both parties closer into their total agreement. So when you're engaged in this third step, which you acknowledge the common ground, looking for places where the buyer and seller are in agreement. It also helps uncover areas that can be adjusted versus the ones that are set in stone. A lot of times people, when I was selling my home, I got an offer on it, and the guy wanted to close on the house during the date that I was going to be on my honeymoon. My wife. No, we got. So I counted that offer, and the only thing, everything else was fine, but I got what I was asking for. I was comfortable with the price. I was comfortable with the terms. I just knew I couldn't close that day, so I counted the closing date. And we were ready. So that was because I didn't change the offer. I just changed the date that we signed. So yeah, that's one thing that could be adjusted. Everything else was fine. That ended up falling through. Words of wisdom. You have a buyer and they say they're going to use Rocket Mortgage. Bro, tell them that Rocket Mortgage does not have a good track record, and they should work with a local lender that they can actually go in and meet with in person. The local lender is always going to be, can't, I don't want to say always. I prefer that my buyer clients work with a local lender as opposed to one of these huge corporations like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Rocket. That's just my preference. Use what and how questions. These specific types of questions will help you better understand the priorities on the other side of the table. Your participant guide has some details on what and how questions and how they will be useful. Understand that this is a process. Sometimes you have to go back and forth multiple times in order to come to an agreement.
What's the most you ever heard of?
Usually if you, what I've seen is that if you go back, if you go through 3 rounds of count, usually at that 3rd round, you're either at the agreement point, or somebody decides we're not doing this anymore. I hadn't seen more than maybe 4 rounds, but usually that 3rd round kind of tells you where it's going to be. Had a guy was trying to buy investment property, piece of stuff, and he's going to do repairs. So he offered based on the cost of the repairs, $125 grand. So he took their asking price, subtracted 125 from it, and made his offer. So they were asking, I think, 275, and I think he offered 150 for it. And they counted, he counted, they counted again, he counted again, they counted again. And he said, I'm not counting. Because at that point, we were still about $70,000 apart. So he came up a little, they came down a little, but it wasn't enough to make him satisfied. So he just walked away. And you get that sometimes. And you can, depending on what the offer is, how far apart you are. I was having used that 3 or 4 times of negotiation going back and forth. Sometimes it might take, it depends on what the terms are and how good the sellers are and how many other offers they have. A lot of factors play into that. And, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, moving to walk away. Kind of what I was speaking to a second ago. Sometimes it's not going to be a win-win. So there's no way to walk away without damaging the relationship in the process. And there's a way to do it. I think what I told the other agent was my client decided not to make another offer, but I hope you have a selling soon. Something I think what I said. It was a text message that I sent. Back and forth 3 times. He decided not to try again to look.
All of them,
Is that,
the data sold off.
I don't know. Talked about position. And, looking for places where the buyer and seller in agreement. Brandon asked about how many times we see negotiations go back and forth. I told him the story about the investor client I had. He decided not to make the fourth offer. It depends on the situation. I mean, have you had long negotiations before? So,
I just closed one yesterday. I was not long, but we definitely went past the days that were originally.
I think I've had one before where it was 4 rounds. We got two. I haven't had much more than, I don't think I've had any more than that.
At the stage it was like, it's not like a spoiled child. I'm trying to negotiate anything. We don't do it like that. She's like nowhere, trying to play it off like she's been around, and it was just back and forth. And, like, just stopped talking after a while. She just like all these like meltdowns. And after one, she like texted me like, "You seem aggravated after we talk. Is there something I'm doing?"
Yes, it is. Of course, something. And some people just don't know how to read the room. Scenario that is right. Now, let's hear from a few of you what highs you have so far. That's what it says. Skip that part. So now you understand the 3Ps approach, have basic groundwork for how to negotiate. Let's cover some tips and best practices to help with your negotiation. So it's important to remember that negotiating is a skill that's learned and practiced. So using a 3Ps approach, keep in mind these best practices. Above all else, be professional. And that goes without saying, in a professional industry, so you want to be professional. Remember, your goal is a signed contract. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're driving toward, and that's what both agents and their clients have signed a contract. Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. So you create anxiety in your clients and other parties, using their leverage in negotiations. Pay attention to your tone and how you communicate with people involved. Continually refer to motivation. Remind your client why they intend to buy or sell, and help them reevaluate their request if they become unreasonable. Back to their motivation all the time. Don't reveal too much. Just let your client keep your client's motivation close to your chest. Listen more than you talk. That's sometimes you want to share too much sometimes. And instead of just listening, really getting an understanding of what the client is saying, what their motivation is. Somebody said the other day, it's not about us getting the commission check, it's about getting the client putting that in, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of feeds into this last point, be attached to the outcome. You can't get everything you and your client need all the time. So don't let it affect your mindset if you feel that go through. Well, if your client doesn't act on the recommendation, find a different man for their client. Clients aren't gonna always listen to everything you say. Even though they hire us, they think they know more than we do, and they think they can do better than we can. Just love of that. But people think that real estate is easy, and that anybody can do it. Like Dave Ramsey said, people said real estate. Dave Ramsey also has a program that vets realtors sales leads to people. So one thing to sell real estate, why do you have to vet all these agents? Kind of contradicts himself. But yeah, I applied to get these. I got turned down because I hadn't been here. I hadn't been in my market home about Dave Ramsey's program. Anybody can sell real estate. According to Dave Ramsey. Hello, Dave Ramsey. I think anything else should be considered the best practice that we have covered today. Pretty straightforward, I think.
I think just the communication, your client, agent, biggest takeaway.
Between the client and the other
Like
agent.
just making sure everybody's on the same page. Make sure it's
Yeah, it's yeah, communication is different. Keep your client informed of things that you really bound to do that anyway. Something that, you know, is pertinent information that you obligated to share. Especially if it's in their best interest. I don't know if that's supposed to do this. I know I'm not in the instructed drop down.
We substitute precedent, so we should do precedent, just get like
I won't tell you said that.
It's the audio.
Maybe I will tell. I just got to say I didn't tell. So nobody cares. Same stuff on every session, the next gen. And the famous aha slide. Today's session started off discovering what negotiation is related to real estate transaction. We then learned about the 3 Ps approach that help provide a framework for negotiating. Finally, we covered some best practices and tips to keep in mind. Let's hear from you. What are some ahas that you have when you learned today?
I like that background.
It does also say, ask what is your call to action of today's session? Something that you can do in your business. As you, the session was talking about negotiating offer. Something that could be implemented. Neil was basically like when I am negotiating, I should probably ask more questions myself when I am writing an offer to my client, a buyer client. I should probably ask more questions other than what do you want to offer, what do you want to ask for this. probably dig deeper into why they're asking. That's my big takeaway. Dig deeper and get more information from the buyers. So, the more information, the better off everything is. I want to share two questions. I just don't know what they're pre-approved for. What terms I need to ask, and then the lender can really look at that. I have a buyer client now that's Greg. So whenever I see Greg in the hallway, I just check in with him. Hey, this is where we are. He even has me.
That's a class?
I don't think so. It's asking how would you think, feel, act, and implement what you learn. And it's asking me to tell you to write in your participant guide how they've grown in each of these areas. And I'm supposed to say, taking the time to reflect on what you've learned is important in building your confidence and celebrating your growth. Do this activity after each learning session so you can keep track of your learning. And now we move to our important daily success system time, where we work in our business together by supporting one another. For the next 2 hours, we work together on our daily success system. It consists of 20 minutes of role playing, 10 minutes of preparing a call list, 45 minutes of real role play, and 30 minutes of updating your database, information gathered from the conversation, and following up with process. And saying for the next 2 hours. You know about the daily success. And what we do every day, lead generating, follow up. You know, then 10 handwritten notes gives me every time. We write these handwritten notes too.
I used to do it. Some reason. Yeah.
But I guess, are we supposed to be writing handwritten notes to people call?
Yeah, your sphere. So like where it says that lost somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, if you door knocked and you had a good conversation with somebody, it was nice meeting you. I did this, I bought personalized birthday cards and my business card or my contact info was printed onto the on the card, yeah. But I took pictures for that.
I call this engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution that people are happy to be in relationship. It says here, turn to someone close to you and say a permanent message out loud to the other person. If y'all want to, you can. I won't stop. Role play. Conversation, please. Another role play. Great successes. That was supposed to recap the last 2 hours of all that about your daily successes. That's what you learned and what learning based tactic you engage to make yourself the best agent. About command and connect, all the resources and connect. Something you don't know how to do. Video training videos and connect. There's several agents in the office to talk to and get help. So next session is get to the pros. You skip Monday because it's a holiday. And Tuesday is just get to the pros. Talk about negotiating offers today. Instead of just get to the pros. And one more time. Ask for final ahas and questions. Every time. 10:40. I want to do first in for being done early. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Are you studying with any one particular, or just going over information on your own?
I am.
No, I'm just saying in general. You have anticipate your study.
No,
You working another job outside of this, something different.
she works at self.
You up in Cincinnati? You did last. I was actually born in Tennessee, but grew up in Mississippi. Moved here last year, but my wife is from, so we got married last year. That's why I moved here. She's from here, Professor in Tennessee. Yeah, that's why I moved here. I was doing real estate in Mississippi, so that's why I moved here. Yeah.
You have to take like extra, you have to like take like any license to real estate outside the United States.
Yeah, I had to get my Ohio license, so I had to take the Ohio test. I didn't have to do the national, but I already had a license in Mississippi. So I got a reciprocal license. So, so I did get my, I just had to pass a higher course. of this.
So you didn't do national. You just did a-
Right, right, because I had already done national before. I just
Okay.
had, yeah, 'cause I had a license in Mississippi, so I just had to do the Ohio portion to get my Ohio license. And, so yeah, I didn't have to do the class, I just had to take the test.
So even if you take that, so even if you take the national, still you gotta, like you said, classes, just, like if you were going outside. Outside of, within the state, so you don't gotta take any classes, you just have to take, what you call
Well, if you have, it depends on the state. Every state is different. But Mississippi and Ohio had that reciprocal agreement. So some states they don't. But, so I think Texas doesn't have a reciprocal, they don't have reciprocity. So if I were to leave Mississippi and go to Texas, I would have had to take the test all over again. I would have to start, I had to go to class, take both, I had to do everything. But come from Mississippi to Ohio, Ohio has reciprocity with Mississippi. So all I had to do was just do that state test.
So we're not all.
Yeah, it's all state by state.
And it's all the same, and the exams are all the same questions. State.
I wouldn't say it's the same, probably the same concepts, but the questions are probably going to be different. But I took my Mississippi test in 2010, so I don't even remember what the questions were back then. So, but yeah, it was definitely different. Yeah. And now I let my Mississippi license expire, so I don't have it anymore.
It was tough.
Well, I kept it going till it just expired back in April of this year. So I didn't renew it because I knew I was here. If I still been working in Mississippi, I would have kept it on. But since I'm here,
You just let it
I
expire.
just let it expire.
Made you want to get into real estate?
Honestly, initially I thought it was something that I could do to make money because I couldn't find a job in the field when I graduated college. That's why I got into it to begin with. Shout out some realtors, I liked it. Thought it would be something that I would enjoy doing, and I do. But I stayed in real estate because I like it. Get into them. I like working with buyers. I work with sellers too, but I like working. A lot of people say they prefer sellers. I like working with buyers. I like helping people accomplish their goals. It's fulfilling to me, knowing that somebody that didn't think that they could buy a home, helping them get into a home, and I know I helped them.
I feel like buyers are more excited than selling because kind of stress.
Yeah, and sellers, I had my house sold. What are you doing to get my house sold? Buyers are like, let's go look at this house. Let's see this house. Buyers take time. The buyers are eager. In this shifting market, I think buyers are easy. Well, generally speaking, not. There's some houses you can put a sign in the yard that they have sold. There are some houses that take a little time and it's so anxious to get them sold and it doesn't happen quickly like they thought it would. So, yeah. But I just like I just like the thought of helping a buyer get their house. It's a goal that they're setting for themselves. Reach it is, I just like to feel.
Properties down. So, a property that's not just residential.
I have sold some commercial property. I've sold it was an office space with a warehouse at the back. And the guy that bought it turned it into an event center. And I've sold a daycare building. And somebody turned it into a store, a retail store. They took the building and made it into a store. They had plenty of space. So, yeah, I sold some commercial property, sold some land. Well, I've done a lot more residential than I have commercial, but I have sold some commercial buildings.
And, was a question.
An operator, like management, but they kind of oversee the operations of the brokerage. So our operator, Tara Smith, Tara, she runs the 4 markets. There's one here, Southern Indiana, Louisville, and Becky. She operates all 4 of them. She travels back and forth between. You may Tara. Were you here Tuesday for the meeting? The company meeting that we had? In past Tuesday. Tara and her husband both were the ones on the video call. You seeing it? Yeah, that's the operator. They oversee the day-to-day operations of the brokers. Now the realtors is people going out selling to help people buy and sell the property, especially the land, the brand is. And the broker is also like a management person. That's the person that like helps with contracts, make sure that we stay in compliance, make sure the laws are being followed. The broker can be the manager, but in this office, the broker is something different. So our broker is Susan Ash. Susan is the broker that kind of make sure we stay legal. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so a broker could be the manager and a realtor to a broker. All that could be one person. But in our office, there's an operator that's different. There's a broker that's different, and all those realtors. Now, Susan is a realtor also. Does that make sense? She just functions. She just wears two. She works in 2 roles. She's a realtor and she's a broker. I think Tara used to be, but Tara does coaching now. So I don't know if she does selling.
Sounded like she's going to tell us one. She has experience with that.
She started as a coach and she worked her way up. And bought into the franchise. So goals. You can do that one day too. And you can do that one day too. If you want. Work your way up and start your own.
That's one of the, that's one of the, I just been told that, like, 20, to get, like, when, and Dayton told me, it's like, tons of, like, like, finding people, like, finding, like, 20 minutes. Trying to get a understanding how to,
Well, I mean, you just think about all the people you see every day. Because in your normal life, you drive. How do you travel? So Metro, Uber, and Fan. Let's say you're on the Metro bus. How many other people on that bus? Probably another 20, 30 people. Driving to other people, that's three. The three people you see on the going and coming. Okay, so six people total is the same people. Different people. So three going, three coming. Now we have 6 people. When you go get something to eat, talk to the cashier. There's probably somebody else in line. Maybe somebody that brings you the food that you didn't talk to before. When you go to Kroger, there's somebody else there. You walk through the store, there's somebody else in the aisle looking at the food you're looking at. So that's easily another 7 or 8 people. When you stop at a gas station on your way home, there's a cashier there. There's somebody else pumping gas. So then that's easily 20 people that you talk to just in that one day. And if you talk to all of them, and you do that every day, I know it's easier said than done. Talking to people can be very rapid. There are people out there. You see people all the time.
You got the advantage of being from here, you know, people down here.
You still have, how old are you? 20? So you just got out of high school a couple years ago? So you got friends from high school you can talk to? So if you say that there's 20 people in your phone and you can call today and say, hey, I'm getting my real estate license soon.
so that's,
You go to church anyway?
church, probably the same people.
What I'm saying is those people that you know, they might not be looking at the Bible say, but their cousin might, their neighbor might, their friend from work might, their sister might. They might know somebody else that did and they can refer you. Hey, Gabriel, he got his license. He said he's looking for clients. When you get ready to buy your house, call Gabriel. You know, you can get referrals that way.
The church is more like, you could build a relationship with people more like church.
Yeah, they say, you're gonna hear this a lot. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So people at the church, they already know you. Assuming they like you. They probably trust you already too. So those are the people in your family. Those are the people that want to see you win. So they're gonna help, you, but they might not know how. You tell them, hey, if you know somebody that's looking to buy us, they'll send them to give them a number. Tell them how. Or take it a step further and get their number. Ask them to give you their number so that you can call. And then there's so many scripts you can use when you do call. And you get that as you keep on the classes too. You get the scripts on what to say when you call. But yeah, you could even start now, just telling people, hey, I'm working on my real estate license.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
No problem.
I'm Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just getting started. Last 2 months also, so.
You know, not licensed yet.
I was licensed, I only been here for about 2 months now, so.
Also, you've also been good. You started the job. So, what, hey,
I'm gonna take a step. Yeah, realtor.
Oh, yeah, we're done.
that's
At the salon or spa.
oh, it's a lot.
Two. Okay.
But when I got my license,
Yeah, I'll
Likewise.
see you around here.
There you go. All right, you too, man. Take care.
go.